How did I learn this game? It's funny, I actually had someone ask me that just the other day too. So like I said, my first run of MM1 Zipless was 2019. And initially, like, I had found out about speedrunning a couple years before that, and I was wowed by the whole thing. I was like, okay, I have to try this myself. But my first run for MM1 Zipless, if I remember, I did actually try and learn, like, a couple things. But it was mostly just a timed, like, experienced casual playthrough sort of thing. I was like, okay, how fast can I complete Mega Man 1? And obviously, given that I was a filthy casual, I still hadn't learned anything. I was like, okay, well, I'll just do Zipless. It makes sense. And I believe my first completed time was a 25:09. And, I mean, at first it was just sort of teaching myself stuff. Like, I wasn't really looking at any other runs for references on what to do. I was just trying to do my own strats. Obviously, I knew the pause trick. I don't think I used it as many places as I do now. Like, I used it for refights, I used it for Yellow Devil, I think I used it for the Wiring Machine too, but at first it was just, what can I do with my own strats? And then after that, I started taking the grind a little more seriously. I was like, I got another personal PB without learning anything, that I think was 24:59. So I was able to get a sub 25 without actually learning anything, which is nice. And from there, I think I started peaking. Oh my gosh, this is not a good fire so far. From there, I think I started peeking at some other stuff, just trying to see, and that's sort of what I've just done since. I've sort of just peeked at stuff that's like roughly around my level, maybe a little better, and seen what I could do. And I have had people come in and offer me tips over the way too, like the Cherry Point and Corv were really big on helping me. They both offered me some really helpful stuff. I want to say I was just in the sub 23 level when they came in and started giving me advice, but they helped a lot. It was really nice. And then Flecke just recently, the real Flecke. I gotta shout all these people out. Everyone knows who Cherry Point and Corv are though. But yeah, Flecke came in recently and gave me a couple more tips too, and I credit him with getting me to 21 because there was some very useful info that I did not know yet. Yeah, I did the same with Mega Man 2 Normal Zipless as well. That one definitely felt a lot more casual for me though. I mean, Mega Man 2 was always the one. 1 and 2 were the ones I really played as a kid. They were the ones I had the most nostalgia for. But 2 was always my game. That was like the extra one I always was into. And yet, surprisingly, my first run of 2 was not as good as my first run of 1 was. Yeah, not bad, Bruno, for sure. I want to say, I don't even remember what my first 2 run was. I think it was a 35 something. Yeah, and then that one eventually. That one even more so I had people offering me tips. Arel especially. Big shout out to Arel. Helping me bring down my 3106 to like a 30... I think it was a 3019 right off the bat. Oops, I forgot to do the little weight strat there. Just with some corner clip and others optimization suggestions. That was a huge cut, and I was disappointed with that too. Yeah, as far as, I mean, since we're talking speedrun history, I sort of said when I started MM1, but never mentioned, I've mentioned it on stream before, but since there's some people here who haven't heard the story. So, like I said, I grew up playing Mega Man. I was raised from a very young age with an NES controller in my hands. Despite being quite young. My dad was an NES collector, so I was raised with all the best video games, like I said. Classically trained, guilty, and not guilty because it's awesome. That was a good bomb, by the way. I wasn't even really paying attention. Minus the fact that I made that one goof at the start of the stage, but it was fine. Anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked. So yeah, I grew up playing Mega Man games, and we, sort of had periods, like, because we had a Wii eventually too, and sometimes there'd be a bit too much, like, clutter and stuff, so we'd have to take the NES down to the garage for a bit, and it would go through periods where, like, we wouldn't have it up there, and I'd start to miss Mega Man games. I'd be like, oh man, I miss playing those. I mean, we'd bring it up sometimes, so it's not like it ever went too long without it, but one time in 2015, I was having a day where I was missing Mega Man Extra, and the NES was locked down in the garage, and there was no current way for me to access it. I didn't know about emulators back then, I should say. So I just went on YouTube and I looked at some Mega Man stuff, because like, okay, I need to watch someone play Mega Man to satisfy my Mega Man craving, and I stumbled upon and learned what speedrunning was for the first time. Please, oh my gosh. Yeah, so I learned what speedrunning was that day. The run I found was a run of Mega Man 3 from Fasta. I can't remember what the time was, or when it was from, but I just know it was 2015 when I found the run. And in the run, I was like, I mean, Mega Man 3 was never one of my favorites. You guys know that. I like to sometimes shit on Mega Man 3, which is undeserved. It's not that bad, but... And I played it as a kid. I enjoyed it decently, too. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, we'll just play it. That's fine. Stupid Cheetos, right? Those are the worst. I think I have an extra beam. I think I can do that. Or do I? No, maybe I can't. Maybe that was dumb. That's okay. So yeah. Anyway, I was watching this run, and even though MM3 wasn't one of my favorites, I mean, I still knew it. I was still like, wow, I cannot believe this guy is just completely obliterating this game that I played from my favorite series ever. Like, you can do this with Mega Man? What the heck? Like, every second. And I mean, MM3, that's an impressive speedrun. Not quite, like, zip, there's not the amount of zips or anything. There's only a couple zips in MM3, as like 1 or 2. But anyway, point is, I was floored. I was like, what the heck is speedrunning? This is amazing. And throughout the run, he kept saying things like, pretty much he just started to encourage anyone who's ever wanted to try speedrunning before. He was just saying, like, okay, if you've ever been interested in speedrunning before, you have a game you love, you want to play it best, just do it. Like, get on with it. People are helpful in this community, like, there's so many people willing to offer you advice, help you get started, and cheer you on, have a good time. And I loved that. That was awesome. I was like, okay, that's really cool. I need to look more into speedrunning. And I actually created my Twitch account as a result of having watched that GDQ video. And then there's another Cool Kid one for, I think, MM1 that I watched that day too, and that one was even more like, okay, wow, what is he doing with this game? And also, again, MM1 was one I'd actually played more often and really liked, so I was like, okay, that's awesome. I definitely need to look into this. So I created my Twitch account as a result, and I initially created it to watch GDQ. I think it was around summertime, so I think SGDQ was actually about to start that year, so it was good timing. Back when GDQ was fun, exactly. And yeah, I didn't like start streaming or anything at the time. That was about a year before I started streaming. So that was 2015. It sort of passed. I watched the GDQ. I had some fun with it. Learned about speedruns, but I didn't really speedrun myself at the time. But eventually, I think the NES was brought back up for a bit, so I did start playing Mega Man again. It was all good fun. And then the next year, in 2016, in June, was when I actually started streaming. But I didn't stream Mega Man stuff. That took a while. And then that's not important to the speedrun timeline, just I started streaming at that time. I never forgot about my plan to eventually Mega Man speedrun, but it didn't happen yet. So I did that for a bit, and then 2017, I found out about the Mega Man Legacy Collection through Steam. And so obviously I had to buy that right away, right? Because Mega Man, I can play Mega Man on my computer. What the heck? Again, still didn't know about emulators at the time. So I got the Legacy Collection, fell in love with Mega Man all over again, and then also got really into the other half that I didn't play quite as much. 4, 5, 6, I mean, mostly 4. 5 isn't that great, and 6 is but 4 especially. Anyway, not important to the story either, just saying eventually I got into low-cost Mega Man. Eventually got into Mega Man again for real, and that was when I was like, okay, it's getting big now. And then Legacy Collection 2 actually came out that year. And I got to play 9 again, which was really fun. I had that on the Wii. And I hadn't played 10. I didn't have 10 on the Wii, so I got to play 10 and also 7 and 8 for the first time that year in Legacy Collection 2. And I was hesitant actually to play 7 and 8. I actually am planning on snagging world record for this on Legacy Collection once I get my goal time, actually. Anyway, so like I said, I played 7, 8, 10 for the first time that year. 7 and 8, I said I was initially hesitant to play because it was like, oh, they're not 8-bit, they're not going to be the same, it's going to be bad. I had that mentality, it was really dumb. 7 ended up absolutely blowing my socks off. I could not believe how good of a game MM7 was. Genuinely, like, I've only finished the game once to this day. I played it, like, parts of it some other times, but to this day, I think MM7 is one of the best made Mega Man games. And that's saying a lot, because it was rushed, too. It was all made in 3 months. Like, it didn't feel rushed, though. 8, on the other hand, was absolute garbage. Oh my gosh, that game was torture to get through. But 7 was great. I loved MM7. And so yeah, that was like end of 2017, and I had stopped streaming a bit at that time because I had some stuff, you know, life got busy, was still in school back then, so I had stopped streaming for a bit in 2017. But then 2018 came back around, and I had eventually started streaming again, like middle of summer. And that's when I got into actually, like, streaming again, too. Like, I never really... I had some other big breaks, but that was when streaming really got big for me. And towards the end of 2018, I was like, okay, how about that Mega Man thing, huh? And actually, I have to credit... so I still wasn't doing speedrun stuff. But one night in late August, around this time in 2018, I was just doing like Mega Man Legacy Collection. Oops. Legacy Collection. Oh my gosh. Jump, jump, slide, slide. Oh, that's miserable. That was like my least favorite part of the game, honestly. So yeah, late August 2018, I was just doing some random Mega Man Legacy Collection challenges, just for fun. Like, wasn't speedrunning or anything like that. And I was doing the Cossack one. I was really into the Cossack machine one, trying to get like a top time on the... I don't think I've ever actually told this story in this much detail before. Trying to get a top time in the Cossack Catcher Challenge on Mega Man 4 Legacy Collection Challenge. Hold on, let me just do this fight and then I'll finish the story. I've been totally autopiloting these last few stages, by the way. Decent run. GG's. So yeah, I've been doing Cossack Catcher Challenge. I think I'd actually managed to get into the like top 20 of the board for that challenge. Thank you guys so much for the GG's. I appreciate you, Fish and Bruno and Burrell. And yeah, so I'm doing the challenges and I'm getting some good times. And would you know, a speedrunner by the name of Lookin' Toad pops into my chat for the first time. And pretty much starts talking about Mega Man 4 running, telling me he's a 4 runner and he loves seeing even just like someone doing a Legacy Collection challenge for a boss fight in 4. And he was like, do you not actually speedrun anything seriously yet? And we got to talking for a bit. He gave me some resources for learning 4, which, I mean, I always knew I was gonna learn 4 from that night, pretty much. But yeah, so he gave me some resources, talked about it for a bit, and it was just like encouraging me to try out some speedrunning if I wanted to. And from there, I actually started to get the wheels in motion. I'm actually surprised I didn't do 4 then, just because he was like sharing all that stuff with me. but I wasn't quite as familiar with 4 as I was, like I said, with 1 and 2, etc. But what I ended up actually doing incorporated all 6, actually, because somehow I was like, okay, what is my first speedrun gonna be? How about Mega Man 1 to 6, 46 Robot Masters? So that was my first run. I started to practice a bit of every Mega, and I submitted a couple runs of that. I want to say I did one full one for sure, I think a second full one maybe, and then I was on pace after learning some really good strats for a couple games that were less good on that time, for a third one that would have had an insane time cut, I think, by the end. It wouldn't have been great or anything, but you know, for me, for a casual learning it. But unfortunately, in Mega Man 5 and Waveman stage, there's this glitch that can happen that pretty much softlocks the game if you go into like an auto-scroller water section at a certain time, and that glitch happened to me and invalidated my run. So I finished it out anyway. Like, back then I didn't know. Back then I was like, okay, if I was dumb, but I was like, okay, I'll just, technically I didn't zip or cheat, or, well, zipping is fine, but I didn't cheat, so what if I just reset, enter a password, get back to Waveman, put it in, and then finish out Mega Man 6. I thought it would work that way. It didn't. I understood. I never did 46 robots again after that, though. And I mean, they explained to me, I understood. And it was on there for a while. I took it off because it was embarrassing. It does still exist, the video, though. The PB I had submitted on there. But anyway, I was done with 46 Robot Masters, but through that, I was like, okay. I was sort of looking at what I did for each game. I was like, okay, you know what? Mega Man 3 actually surprised me. I feel like I was actually quite decent at this. I think MM3 was actually the highlight of the 46 Robot Masters, which was funny because, again, was never as into 3 and didn't know it even close to as much as I knew 1 and 2. But I looked at that, I was like, okay, what if I learned Mega Man 3? And that's exactly what I did. So I learned the other half of the game, and Mega Man 3 became my first official single-game Mega Man speedrun. And that carried into early 2019, February 2019, where my final time ended up being a 40:31, and I had planned to go for sub 40 then, but at the same time that was when I, like I said, started learning Mega Man 1 zipless around that time too, and that ended up taking over my priorities in my mind. I forgot all about 3, and I actually did come back, practice a little bit, and get a small PB last year to 39:56. So I did eventually get that sub 40. And I will definitely go for a better time in 3 eventually. Like, I feel like I can just learn some basic strats and pull off like a 37 or 36 or something like that. Like, maybe that's overambitious, but I never actually learned speed strats for 3 because like I said, I don't really care for it that much. Was never interested to really learn much for it. But eventually I'll go back and get a better time, because that one kind of drags my page down on the leaderboards. Like, you look at my pretty decent 1 and 2 zipless times, and then you see 126th or whatever on MM3. It's like, no, I feel like that's the big numbers, what everyone's gonna see, sort of thing. Not that it is a big deal, but it's funny. So I will go back eventually and try and get a better time there too. And then later that year I did my first 2 run, and then I still wasn't really focusing on speedrunning back then. Like, speedrunning was my side project back then. I was variety streaming most of the time, and speedrunning was just something I did on the side every once in a while, so it wasn't something I took seriously, and I kept streaming, you know, variety stuff. That was my main focus through to mid-2020, and then, you know, the world had shut down by that point. Life got really busy. I ended up, minus a few, like, spontaneous streams here and there, I ended up on complete stream hiatus until September 2023. And that was when I not only came back to speedrunning after a good few years of literally not touching it, but also when my main priority shifted from variety to speedrunning, and that's how it has remained since, and that's how it will remain. And from there I was very quickly able, from there I started with MM2 zipless, because I was like, okay, I got a time I was happy with in MM1, and for the most part in MM3 as well. I never really buckled down and did Mega Man 2 zipless seriously, so that's what I started with, and instantly, again without stress, just with like experienced casual gameplay, I instantly took my time down to a 34 something, and then immediately a 33 something afterwards. Oh, he ate my buffer shots. What a dick. This is a reset. And that carried into 24, where I had also started, in January 2024, I finally started derusting MM1 again. And took my, what would have been a standing time for like 3 years, 23:30, I instantly took that down to 23:26, and then from there was a couple other time cuts, eventually got to 23:05, blah blah blah. You guys were all here for 2024, you saw that. Kept grinding, and now I'm at a 21:59 in MM1 zipless, and a 29:42 as of just the other day on MM2 zipless. And MM4 coming very soon.